Black Geyser Couriers of Darkness is an upcoming isometric party-based fantasy CRPG coming to Windows PC, Mac, and Linux. Its planned release date is Q1 of 2022, but it will be entering its early access stage on August 26th of this year, 2021, which is less than 2 months away. You can expect to see this game available on the Steam and GOG store, and if you like what you see in here, make sure to add it to your wish list and help support small indie companies taking on ambitious projects. The company behind this game is a studio by the name of Grapeocean Technologies, and they started a Kickstarter back in 2018 and currently have reached almost all of their stretch goals. But before we dive deeper into it, let me share a quick quote from the devs that many of you guys are going to appreciate. Did you enjoy the classic CRPGs released between 1998 and 2002? We sure did. Black Geyser Couriers of Darkness is dedicated to offering a similarly, that's really fucking hard to say. Similarly magnificent atmosphere in a modern, enhanced, and extended format. So this game is aiming to bring back that feeling of playing one of your favorite classic RPGs, but also having a modern touch. And it has some features that I think some of you guys are going to really appreciate, and I'll go over it all in this video. I'll also talk about the races and the classes, some of the spells and abilities, and at the end even do a story lore session, so make sure to stick around for that. But before we get into it, a message from today's video sponsor, me. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year and finally get that silver play button. I promise to continue to bring you guys the content that you deserve. Links to my Twitter and my Discord server will be below. Let's talk about Black Geyser. The gameplay footage you guys will be seeing is from the backers beta, so keep that in mind. This is not the final product. I'm showing off recorded gameplay from the company itself and also some from YouTube channel Spidey1958. I'll put links below. Let's start off with perhaps the 3 most notable features that many of you guys have been wondering since timestamp 00. Number 1, party of up to 5. Number 2, real-time with pause combat. And number 3, player agency. In Black Geyser, you'll be able to have a party of up to 5 total characters, and you'll go about this by recruiting companions with unique personalities. I'm not entirely sure if you'll be able to create a fully customized party, but either way, it's exciting to be in a new world and meet some new characters. I will mention though that the devs have said that solo play will be supported, but don't get this confused, the game is not a multiplayer game. On the Black Geyser website, there's a section called Famous Characters, and I'm assuming that these will turn out to be some of the companions. There's a human wizard called the Keeper of Peaceful Winter. He's a master of cold magic and a guardian of the Northern Realm. A dwarf named Agvald, Skoll, who left his home in the Northern Realm seeking fame and fortune, but was eventually stripped of his wealth. Agvald is currently seeking revenge on those who have wronged him. In Biala Adelis, or Bajala, not entirely sure, a Feldagug spellweaver who was cast out from her tribe at an early age, but ended up surviving and becoming quite talented in the magical arts. So real-time with pause combat is pretty exciting in my opinion, as many of the classic RPGs were real-time with pause. Even those of you guys that love turn-based combat like myself, I think I can appreciate a game that's really bringing back the classics. And also I mentioned player agency. So in Black Geyser, you're going to be able to choose between good and evil. Your choices will decide the fate of the kingdom. I think this is also great news. We just got to play an amazing game called Solasta, which was turn-based, and it didn't have much in terms of player agency, but now Black Geyser is going to give us both of those aspects that were missing in Solasta. Solasta was a great game, but I'm just kind of pointing out that it's nice to change things up. There's going to be a lot of character-driven dialogue with branching outcomes, romance options, and additional banters between companions, and encounter interactions influenced by the level of your character's greed. So greed in Black Geyser is a really important mechanic and a unique aspect for a CRPG. Grapeocean states that whenever a creature acts greedily, the power of Zornilsa, the goddess of greed, grows. Your actions are no exception, so keep this in mind when controlling your party. In parentheses, rewards, looting, donations in temples, etc. As Ornilsa gets stronger, the kingdom becomes even more chaotic, directly affecting gameplay. This will affect merchant prices, general NPC interactions. Lawful citizens may end up turning into desperate outlaws now prone to attacking without provocation, and several other things. The greed system seems to be a really important system in the game that all players will be involved with. Now let's quickly talk about the classes and the races, and then we'll get into spells and abilities, and finally end the video with a bit on the game's story. There's going to be 5 playable races to choose from. Human, Elf, and Dwarf are the classic ones. And then we have the Feldagug, which are the White Elves, a race of elves that were locked inside a glacier for a very long time. And also a race called the Rillo, or the Seekers, whom are masters of the environment and stand around 7 feet tall. Each race comes with its own set of racial features, such as the Feldagug getting a boost to intelligence and supernatural, an increased resistance to cold, depressive, and arousal effects, and a plus 10% attack with weapons made of ice or crystals. While at the same time, the Feldagug gets a minus to maximum physique and charisma, and a minus to pulse and blow resistance. It's important to keep in mind that there are some class restrictions depending on which race you play, such as the Feldagug cannot play as a Necromancer, Shaman, or Templar. Now onto the classes. From what I can see, there seems to be 13 different classes to choose from: Fighter, Templar, Highlander, Ranger, Thief, Swindler, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Necromancer, Winter Mage, Spellweaver, and Convoker. Each class will have its own class features and unique skills and spells, many of which you have never seen in an RPG before. For example, the Druid class gets a +4 to maximum skill points for brewing and drying, so there is some crafting in this game. They get a boost to attacks against animated undead, restless undead, and machineries. They cannot wear physical armor unless their supernatural is greater than 1, which will allow for the use of light armor. Each class has a list of available weapon skills, and like I said before, there are some racial and class restrictions. There's really a lot to the races and classes, so I'll be sure to put out a video dedicated to just that in the near future. Now let's talk a bit about spells and special abilities. So spells in Black Geyser are recorded in spell slots for memorization, and there are 2 types of spell slots at each level: base energy and elevated energy. Once a memorized spell in a given slot is cast, it cannot be used until the next successful voluntary deep sleep event, which must be the resting system for this game. There will be 10 spell levels in this game and 6 spell classes. A quick example of a spell is the Smile of Alnarius. Its spell class is natural, spell level is 3, and spell slot type is base energy. The spell classes are natural, spiritual, unnatural, oriental, summoning, and ritual. If we take a quick look at the ritual class of spells, we can see that these spells open up gates to distant planes or dimensions, and the Shaman and Necromancer classes favor this spell class. We also got an example of 2 ritual spells, Underworld Gate and Demon Gate. Sounds pretty cool. Natural spells derive their power from nature and favor the Druid, Shaman, Winter Mage, and Spellweaver class. Severine Sparkle and Magic Seed Walking Tree are 2 examples. Now there's also something called special abilities, and these are very similar to spells. Each ability can be used once between 2 consecutive voluntary deep sleep events, so you get their use back from some form of resting, just like you do with your spell slots. Now any character may have special abilities, they're not restricted to spellcaster classes. Now it's time to switch over to the final part of this video and go into lore mode and talk about the story of Black Geyser. Since the dawn of time, darkness has struggled to extinguish the light. Hrothgor, the devil god of pain and destruction, has sent forth countless beastly minions to wreak havoc on the mortal world of Yerengal. Beasts that ran on hooved feet, flew on great leathery wings, and swam with spiny razor-sharp fins. Beasts that cast a shadow of fear wherever their presence was felt. Of all such beasts, no creature drove men to cold sweats faster than the mere mention of the Zerzur beast, a vile demigod of terrible power, a monstrous abomination of disfigured conjoined twins, half amphibian, half human. Hrothgor's malice made flesh. As long as the Zerzur lived, men would know nightmares and fear the dark. For hundreds of years, the horrific Geyser terrorized Yarrengal, until one day a group of mighty adventurers, bound together in friendship and courage, exiled the beast to the bottom of the Zarndar Sea. Shrouded in a pit of darkness for all eternity, the Geyser beast would interfere with mortal lives no more. With the beast vanquished, peace and prosperity came to Yarrengal once more. A peace that flourished beyond imagination in one kingdom above all others, the kingdom of Isilmarald. The land ruled by pure mortal lineage thrived in a new dawn, blessed by the two supreme gods, Alnarius, the king god of love and harmony, and Talindia, the green mother, goddess of nature. As the races of the world focused their efforts on supporting each other and finding harmony with nature, fear all but vanished. And with the waning darkness fleeing men's hearts, so too did the devil god's followers diminish. Though his heart overflowed with hate more so than ever before, Hrothgor became sickly and weak. Confined to his throne of bones, in a most humbling state, an unexpected visitor appeared before the devil god, a seemingly human female of little stature and consequence. Dressed in black with pale skin and piercing gray eyes, the woman stood before Hrothgor, suffering from the same ailment that afflicted the devil god. Her influence and power had dwindled in the world, for in Yarrengal's harmonious state, very few mortal followers worshipped Zornilsa, the goddess of greed. But unlike the devil god who lived eternally, Zornilsa would fade from existence if man kept to his current course. Although Zornilsa appeared physically young and beautiful, the devil god could see her life force weakening before him. Defiantly, in spite of her predicament, Zornilsa spoke with bold, passionate words which revealed a cold, malevolent spirit that matched Hrothgor's own. The devil god saw vast potential in the faltering, slender goddess and greeted her with open, frail arms. Together in their union, Hrothgor and Zornilsa assembled a horrible creation they referred to as the Black Geyser, a staggering achievement of the dark arts. The Black Geyser personified the darkest, coldest aspects of their natures, sat poised to undo the world of men. The devil god and goddess of greed unleashed the Black Geyser upon Yarrengal, determined to rekindle the darkness in mankind's heart. But unlike fear, which had already been openly opposed and conquered, the Black Geyser would work far more subtly and to far more catastrophic ends. The geyser would lurk in the shadows of men and corrupt his most basic nature, poisoning his mind and his very soul with greed and envy. A decade later, Isilmarald teeters on the brink of precipice. Chaos and mistrust have infected the entire land. From highborn to lowborn, people have become obsessed with material things. Man has unhinged from nature. The great blessed kingdom of prosperity has splintered, breaking into distinct northern and southern factions, both of which at this very moment prepare for war. A war which ironically owes its origination to a debt and argument over a mere 3 gold coins. A testament in itself to the power of the Black Geyser. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be sure to put out some Black Geyser content over the next couple months, and when it enters into early access, I'll definitely be streaming it on my channel and also putting out some more content after that. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from live streams to game reviews to game tutorials to lore videos and much more, mostly focused on the fantasy RPG genre. Hopefully catch you guys in a future video. See ya.